So we're going to go through some top stretches for hip pain or hip tightness that, if you don't necessarily have a specific condition, might be quite suitable to help alleviate hopefully some of your symptoms. So let's go. Now, hip pain or stiffness or tightness, especially around the back of the glute, can be something that obviously bothers quite a lot of people. Yeah, and if that's you and you've come to look for some stretches or even some guidance for someone, these are some key things that you can try. Now, it's really important to consider there's never a one size fits all, and also what works for some might not work for others. If you're dealing with hip pain or hip tightness and stiffness, I'd always suggest getting some specialist support, really to try and understand why and what it is that you're going to do to try and resolve it. But we'll start off with these and see how you get on, and obviously comment and let me know how you find them. A nice starting point with this first one is something that you can do not necessarily at the gym, but anywhere. And I've got two variations of this, and I think you'll probably will enjoy the second one as well. But I'll show you this first starting one, and it's literally just to sit cross-legged, ankle on knee. You don't want to have any pinching or sharp pain at the front. With this one, as you lean forward, you really want to feel quite a nice stretch at the back of the buttock and even into the lower back as well. It's really common if someone has tight hips per se, like you might get some stiffness in the lower back as well. Now, the way that you do it, I wouldn't necessarily say you have to lean forward and just hold it for like half a minute or a minute. Just even if you just come off and on and just feel that stretch, feel it at the back of the glutes on that side, that's where you want to start to feel it. But if you're feeling it in the groin and it's pinching, well, maybe that won't be one that would be suitable for you, but you could give it a go and see how you feel. Now, the progression from that, if you do have a little bit more range of movement, and let's say you're still getting the tightness, but not necessarily feeling it like you would want to feel it, using a bench like this where you can go cross-legged, like a bit of a hurdle stretch, drop down and then come back up, dropping all the way down and then coming up. Now, I'll show you from this angle so you can see on this leg where I'd want you to feel it. So you want to have your knee and your leg on the bench like this. It's almost like across your body like this, and just drop your body weight down. And again, you want to feel it around this area. You don't want to feel it pinching in your groin. You don't want to feel it pinching anywhere else. And what I would suggest is just drop down, feel the stretch and come back up. Now, repetitions, rep ranges, how frequently you do them. Look, just find what works for you. Find something that you can do that's achievable. Find something that you do that you feel is quite comfortable for you, and don't necessarily go crazy at pushing too much and holding for too long. You don't want to exacerbate anything. And obviously, we might not know what's actually driving the tightness. So just consider that when you're doing these. Now, anyone that's followed me or seen me teach or anything like that will know my feelings when it comes to hip flexor tightness and hip flexor being the thing that's being blamed for hip pain. But obviously, sometimes people do have tight hip flexors, and it might not be anything else that's crazy that's driving it. So if you do, and you want to do something at the front of the hip that feels a bit tight, this is something that I find quite useful. Now, it's a slight modification to probably the normal one, but I'll explain why. Have your rear leg on a bench, so completely relaxed on the bench, knee resting there. And what I want you to do is slowly, and to start off with, we're going to keep quite linear, drop your body weight forward, try and keep your back straight, but don't overarch your back. Just whatever feels comfortable for you until you can feel a stretch on this side, and then come back up. And then you just deviate your legs slightly to this direction, and you add a different stretch than when you're just going directly straight. But again, what you don't want to have is sharp pain at the front when you're doing it. Like I said, if you're not sure why you're getting hip flexor tightness and persistent pain, seek support from an expert. But nice stance, leaning forward. This just gives you that added layer of control, and you can just start to play around with the angles to see how it feels. I'll do it from this side just so you can see it from a different angle. So this foot behind, elevated, leaning forward, fully stretched, feeling it at the front here, and then deviating out to the side as well, so you can add a different stretch and see how that feels and see which one for you works the best. But again, what you don't want to do, arch your back too much or like lean forward too much when you're doing it. But for sure, the number one thing that I want you to consider is if it's making your pain worse, or again, if you're not sure why you're getting the hip tightness and pain, seek help first.